Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. It's time for Mixed Martial Mindset with MMA legend John Fitch. It's 2019. This is the last show of 2019 on the eve of New Year's Eve. Not quite New Year's Eve, but it's almost there.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's right. You got big plans for New Year's Eve?
No, I mean, New Year's is it's always been kind of amateur hour. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the days when I used to work at the bars, it was the night that, the people who never really went out and went hard. So I avoid the vomit.
Oh man, it's the night that 2 years ago tomorrow is the night that I wrote my resignation email to the owners. And I gave them a ridiculous amount of time. I basically put in for the week before St. Patrick's Day coming up in March. So I gave them 3 months, but I was like, this is it. At midnight, after everything was cleared out and I had everything, I turned my phone off. I left. We had one of those all-night licenses where it was we could have been open until 6 in the morning. No, thank you. Like you said, it's amateur hour. By 3 or 4 in the morning for most people, and New York State, by the way, is 4 in the morning, but we have such a big drinking town, and we were in the Guinness Book of the World Records back in the late 90s. You can look it up. We had 52 bars per square feet. In fact, you like the Joker. So Todd Phillips did a documentary film here in Oneonta called Frat House. You can find it. I'll send you a link after this. You can find it on YouTube, where he and his partner came here to basically film underground fraternities. And by the end of it, not even the end, the middle of it, his partner gets slapped on campus at the school. They have to leave town, and then they end up going to Boston or something and pledging another fraternity. So you get to see Todd Phillips get hazed and do unspeakable things on camera, being the guy who brought you The Hangover, Old School, now the Joker, etc. It's pretty good stuff. So we were notorious. Things have calmed down, but man, 3, 4 in the morning, you're breaking up fights. I mean, how many as a bouncer?
Yeah, the girls the guys are trying to get with are already drunk and gone, passed out, thrown up, and then it's just a bunch of super drunk dudes pissed off because they ain't got a girl, and yeah, it's just fight night.
Yeah, and everybody, it's new year, new me, bro. New year, new me.
Fucking love you, man. But it's a good. I mean, the New Year's is always a good time to get started on a new project, or to at least carry momentum. Mm-hmm. Just because just the way everything kind of stops and starts this time of year, you can be a curmudgeon and a Scrooge when it comes to New Year's. But it's a easy fixing point to start off the new year.
I agree.
Why not take advantage of it?
That's true. If you've got a goal, now's the time that maybe you want to start it, Put a little pressure on yourself. Guys, if you want to find the audio version of this podcast, we do this every week. It's over on thegruelingtruth.com. You want to find out more about John Fitch, including his awesome YouTube channel. He had a great interview today with Rian Stone. If you haven't seen it yet, I would encourage you to go check it out. But really good production value, although I'd say it's your best one yet. It looked good. It sounded great. It was paced well. John Fitch Knows Nothing. It's a great format. Go subscribe right now. Why don't you tell us about that interview? Yeah. Who I hope I'm saying, is it Ryan or Rian?
It's Ryan, yeah.
Okay,
it's first time. It's the only spelling of Ryan that I've ever seen where it's IAN like that. But go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, get announcements for all the stuff I'm doing. Because I'm going to start doing seminars. I'm going to try to do at least one a month, so you can keep up to date with what's going on there. And then I'm going to start. Getting in touch with people through email with my seminar, with not seminars, but the podcasting stuff like that. So I think I'm going to switch my format up a little bit and do more interview-based live streams, not always in the morning, because I initially started off with them as the shake break because I was in the middle of my meal plan. It was the time to have my shake. I was at home anyways. Mm-hmm. But now I have, some different times open, and if guys can do interviews at off times, I'll just do it at off times, and kind of what Joe Rogan kind of just does when he wants to do them. So I might as well do that. And then I think I might do some more topical type videos where it's just me talking into the camera. going over the things that grind my gears that day or week.
And I like those little fast-paced ones. And my format especially, I try to get that 10 to 15-minute video if I'm not doing an interview like this. And then usually we're in the 20 to hour-long format, but I never really go much longer than that. I just feel, especially with YouTube, unless you're a game streamer and they know that, it doesn't help the algorithm, number one. And number two, the people that are watching this, if you can get those information bits in pretty quick in an entertaining fashion. I mean, there's a reason that Joe Rogan has his podcast, and then there are 3 different clip sites. You know what I mean? Yeah. That cut those in. So, people want certain information at certain times. Plus, with me, I'm kind of whenever I want to do it, right? And I find that really empowering. This is video 4 for me, but if, suddenly some kind of, like yesterday, when the gun thing broke out, I knew the mainstream media was going to bury it. So I figured, hey, this is a good time to kind of show what's out there right now. Show you. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video of the police official who straight up said, you probably didn't because it was nowhere, but straight up said, just so everybody knows, the civilians in this case saved 200, there's no doubt, saved 242 other people. And this was a positive thing. I mean, they praised them, but you're not going to hear about that in the mainstream. So that's why, number one, it's great you can go live, and like I said, your production value today was over the top. I thought it was great. Looked really good side by side. You're getting better with the cam studios and stuff like that, the software. So
yeah, well, StreamYard's pretty easy, so it's pretty idiot proof, and I can get the stuff on the screen to share what I need to. So I'm starting to figure that out. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I think I want to kind of expand on that a little bit more. The last couple of years, I've really been able to. I put a lot of lines in the water to kind of see what I liked doing and what was something I was kind of good at or whatever. And I'm having a lot of fun with the interviews. And I think, DMing people with my blue check, I think I have an in on a lot of people getting some interviews.
Blue check, and you have a ton of followers, and then somebody looks you up, and it's not like
I keep going down now. Like
whatever. Hey,
I don't know what the hell is going on with the damn algorithm shit, but like. I've lost like 200, 300 followers in my Instagram in the last month, and then I've lost like 200 or 300 in my Twitter. Like I don't know what the fuck is going on.
How long is that wire? Because it keeps bumping into the mic on your headphone. Can you put it behind your shoulder? Or is it not long enough?
It's kind of short.
Yeah, damn. I'm sorry. All right. So. Anyway,
I just need new headphones set up all together because these are garbage.
I mean, I used to use the headphones, but now I just do it through the speakers. And I used to do I even have one of those like little earpieces. I have, like the ones like when I worked for Infowars.com, we would use those. So I don't know, man. I prefer this, but at the same time, sometimes the headphones, my ears get sensitive. I don't know. I mean, especially when you're in there for more than an hour and you got a hoodie on, like or a little cap like that on. No hot ears.
Yeah, I just gotta. I'm maxed out on expenditures for right now. With all I need to bring some money in with Christmas and everything. Make sure the kids have a good Christmas.
But that's
I got taxes coming up soon. It's gonna making me sweat.
Those unplug though on the side, right? I'll send you.
Plugs in, and it has these are the worst. They're the original Beats.
Yeah, no. So they don't unplug on the side.
So they have batteries, and there's a switch you have to turn on and off, and like sometimes you usually forget to turn the switch off, so the batteries always die. Like the sound goes in and out on one of the ears. I gotta like fuck with the wire all the time to like make sure.
We're sending you a new pair, John. Burmis Brigade. We're putting it together. I promise. So. It's 2019. It's about to be 2020. I figured instead of just talking about like the best fights or whatever, we could talk about the biggest scandals and the biggest ripoffs. And not only that, but before we even get to those stories, we should probably recap one of yet another ripoffs. I pay for DAZN, Bellator. Why did I miss 8 fucking fights? Why could I not get 8 fights? I get it. I got to see the headliner, but everybody on Paramount did too. Did you catch any of the card where apparently Roy Nelson stepped in against Fedor in full blackface?
Like that was just, I mean, I put up a little story right after it happened. I mean, I've never seen somebody phone in a fight on quite such an epic level as that. Like, he just turned around and like shook his head. Nope, that's it. I got hit once. I'm done. Forget about it. I feel fat out here. I don't want to be seen.
Dude,
like,
he had to cut to get to 265.
I love Rampage, man, but come on.
I know.
And it's frustrating for me as a fighter because it's like I show up to fight every time. I bust my ass. Like, that guy is going to get more billing and more money.
He probably made 3 times what you did your last fight.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my first biggest fucking ripoff of the year, by the way, guys. I would say worst decision of the year, weighing it all together, is John Fitch versus Rory McDonald. And let me tell you how I came to this conclusion. Now, there may have been bigger decisions where it wasn't a draw, a majority draw, right, where someone actually lost the fight, but there wasn't any other fight with 2 high-level fighters and so much at stake, a.k.a. $1 million. So you literally had
access to $1 million.
That's right. You had 2 top 10 guys in a fight that, in my view, was one-sided. 3-2 the best, but in that 3-2, you have to give John Fitch that 10-8 round that every judge did give him, by the way, the 10-8 third round on every single marker. So for that, not only for you not to be able to continue, but you not to get the win, I would say that was the worst decision of 2019. I cannot think of a worse decision. Can you, Mr. Fitch?
Man, I would say I hold 2 of the worst decisions in this decade.
Preach on, brother. Tell him.
Yeah, my decision with BJ Penn, which is just an asinine. It was a draw also, majority draw also, but I also had a 10-8 round. Holy fuck balls. Like, yeah, that and the Rory thing. And that's, I mean, I don't know. That's just why I'm kind of just over it. It's just like, you know, I'm putting my body through all this. I'm taking the time away from the kids for all this. And what am I getting? Like, draws and shit on. I just, whatever. On to the next.
Well, again, like I would say that I can't think of another fight where so much was at stake, there were high-level fighters, and there was such a big ripoff in that fight, because that was just it was ridiculous, man. So for worst decision of the year, before we get to some of the scandals, I would say that's it. Now, some of the other fights, Larkin looked really good. I don't know if you caught that, but Larkin, look at the problem is, the risen guys they were putting him in with were not top-level guys. And I saw, did you see what MVP had to say about his can crushing?
I mean, Larkin, like, I mean, good fighter, but he's not, I don't think he's a top 10, and he definitely doesn't deserve the next title shot. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just frustrating to watch, a performance. Well, yeah, he should have turned in a performance like that against the fight he was fighting. He probably should have done better. I probably should have put him away. But, like, whatever.
No, I agree.
He's probably going to get the title shot.
Which is ridiculous. Coker, what are you doing? Let's not make the biggest scandals of 2020, bro. Lima already said he'll take the Fitch fight. It's the fight that people want to see. They're sick. There's a reason MVP is getting criticized for crushing cans, because he's crushing cans. All right? When you can't, and I saw what he had to say afterwards. Listen, man. I've been next to you. You're a huge dude for 170. His build is incredible. He has a decade plus of kickboxing experience. For those that don't know, you didn't just run on to the MMA scene. If you want to fight top-level fighters and make top-level money, John Fitch fights all those top-level guys. Like, when are you going to fight a top-level guy? You've hit 3 guys that aren't in the top 50 in the division worldwide, globally, in the last few months.
He struggles with Daly.
Not only that, Daly, you could argue, won that fight. I was there at the Mohegan Sun Arena.
It was close.
And it was, I had it 2-2 going in the 5th. By the way, MVP, I gave you the 5th. I did give you the fight. My brother didn't see it that way. It wasn't an impressive performance, to say the least. Who beat Daly? John Fitch beat Daly. It wasn't really close. All right.
I beat him so bad he booed himself.
And the last time that you saw Lima really dominated, it was through grappling. So, I mean, the matchup is there for Fitch, man. Coker, come on, dude. Come on, it can't all be showboats and Satayama Arena and Fedor's farewell for the 26th fucking time. Can we have some fucking competition level shit so we don't have to go full WWE? I like the fireworks. I like the split screen mountain thing and the Czech Congo promo where he is the darkness.
And even the Rampage versus Fedor fights. Like, you can have the fun fights, but you have to have a baseline of meritocracy. You have to. That's what makes it a sport. That's what makes it interesting to people. I think a lot of people, I think they've lost a lot of real fans because of that, but I don't think a lot of people care. And I don't just mean Bellator. I mean just the fight game in general, because they've kind of cultured a pro wrestling fan base. Like, there's almost 100% crossover from pro wrestling fans to UFC fans or MMA fans.
Well, it's great. I get to see fucking MVP do discotheque in the fucking ring. I know you saw like that capoeira up kick half breakdance thing that didn't hit, and I'm like, all right, great, dude. Okay, you got me that oh shit moment against a less than 500 fighter. Let's be honest. Like, stop. This is ridiculous. You know, Chandler, I'd say this, you know, he looked good in his return. You know, that was a decent fight. Sidney Outlaw, he should
Chandler
beat him.
Looked really good.
Yeah, he should beat him, but he did beat him in dominant fashion, right? So that was great. Really, it was the submission of Gotti Yamauchi, the second one in a row, where I think that he should get a chance at some of the guys who have beat him, like Benson Henderson. That fight makes sense, or Chandler. And then if he can get through that, I say title shot. He should be headlining a Bellator event.
He's tough. He's a solid fighter. But like, again, like, we live in a pro wrestling world when it comes to MMA, so he might not have the Twitter following or the Instagram following to get the big fights. Which is just the most asinine fucking thing. Could you imagine we're sitting here and be like, oh man, that Tom Brady, he's a hell of a quarterback, but you know, he just doesn't have the followers on Instagram.
Yeah, but you know what?
Bad.
The bottom line about Brady is he is a hell of a quarterback, but he has a dynasty of amazing cheaters behind him. I mean, from the old school scandal where they got caught with the headphones, John. Remember that, when they were intercepting the headphones, to just this year getting caught video feeding from the Bengals sidelines. The Bengals of all people. I mean, God bless them. Again, they did that great South Park this year where it was the Spice de la Resistance or some shit. The Spice de Menage, which was Tom Brady's shit. It was good stuff, and it is. But you know, listen, cheating all around is happening, and that kind of brings me to my first big scandal of the year. One that I don't think enough coverage. We briefly talked about it here, but UFC announces formal changes to anti-doping policy. And this was literally a month before Christmas, and it basically says
of the year. Are we doing of the year or of the decade?
You know what? I didn't even think about we were closing out a decade. You're making me feel fucking even older, and it's hard to believe that we really are. Yeah. But
the anti-doping policy changes. Yeah, flew right under the radar. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares. They're basically just saying, yeah, it's not real anymore. It's just.
It's literally saying we will do and say and dole out what we want.
We're doing whatever we want. It's not a real thing. It's not a real test anymore.
We made it sound very political and had our lawyers look at it, but guess what? When money's on the table, we'll tell fighters like Nate Diaz that they tested positive for something, shut the fuck up, and when they don't, we're still going to go through with the fight because we already made a Hollywood belt up out of nowhere, which brings up another scandal, in my opinion, of 2019. The UFC, under that ESPN banner and Disney and WME Entertainment and Ari Emanuel and all the little puppeteers around them, decided they were going to make up a belt and have a Hollywood superstar, The Rock, put it on, strap it on, and promote for it. So,
man, how do you not see this as a fan? It's like, that's just like, they're like, yep, we think you're stupid. We think you're dumb. We're going to take your money, you fucking morons. And now you don't get it. Are you really that stupid? It's insane to me. Like, let's have the NFL is going to be like, oh yeah, there's a Super Bowl trophy, but we're going to make this game fucking awesome. This is the game to look at. We're going to make this the toilet bowl belt or whatever the fuck.
The toilet bowl belt. We need that. I really think that that's what we should put together. There's this new, I don't know what it's called. I can't remember. Somebody just turned me on to it. But it's basically street brawls in backyards. And it's either MMA or boxing. But they've put together these actual cages out of like chain link fence and and fucking plywood and shit. It's pretty wild, man. Like, and they're going hard.
The Kimbo slice stuff.
I mean, we might as well make the toilet bowl belt. We'll go down there with some, toilet bowls, some porcelain, and we'll make a real nice one for the folks. Maybe we can get some pay-per-view numbers. Now, for me,
just call it bare knuckle.
Yeah, we'll call it bare knuckle. Exactly.
Bare knuckle, and we'll avoid all the regulations involved.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and we'll go to, what do you think's a good state to try that out in the first time? Louisiana?
Oh, that would be they probably need some money. West Virginia?
Yeah, I would go with, it's so terrible to say that, but it's true, man. Like, it's kind of, and I watch the bare knuckle. I do. I mean, those fights are pretty entertaining. They're pretty brutal. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's nothing against the actual competition. It's against the structure who's putting it on, like the exploitation there. Like, I love my cell phone. I think it's really handy. It's cool. It works good. I can do a lot of cool stuff with it, but like, it's made by slave labor.
It sure is. I mean, again, you got to look at it.
Kind of shitty. It's kind of sucks.
I say this to people, and they don't like hearing it, but we're all hypocrites, myself included. There's no way around it. I try to acknowledge when I am. When I'm wrong, I try to admit it. Nobody's perfect. Nothing is perfect. And technology itself is that double-edged sword, man. It can either be used to empower humanity, right? Mm-hmm. I can communicate with anybody, anywhere in the world, not only just audio ways now video-wise. Forget about sending a document, any kind of information I want. Anytime I can send to somebody. It's not just me anymore. Anything. With this little device. That is incredible. Now, most people are using that to take 26 selfies a day and tell you what they had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So are you empowering yourself with that, or are you enslaving yourself with that? A hammer could fucking build a house. It can build a village. It can build a community. It can also bash someone's fucking head in.
It can kill more people in a year than an assault weapon.
That's right. That's right. So, John, I don't think it's going to be some surprise to our audience or even yourself. What I think happens to be the number one scandal. Number one, and it's not even the brutal rape of a woman in front of people, in front of multiple eyewitnesses, high-level police sources saying that all of the evidence, which includes forensic examinations, eyewitness testimony, CCTV footage before and after the fact, all that stuff points to the woman being raped and badly assaulted in that penthouse suite, because that happened in 2018. What I would say the scandal of 2019 is the cover-up of that fact successfully in the United States for now over 1 year. Unless it breaks tomorrow, all of 2019. Even the New York Times story, even Kevin fucking Iole asking fucking Dana White about it and then backing off like the little weasel fuck he is.
How many years did they cover up for Weinstein?
Decades. Dude, I was talking about, I did a couple videos on Weinstein the other day because obviously he's still in the news. And how close, John, do you think Weinstein is to Bill Clinton?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're probably both pretty much connected to Epstein.
You would be correct that they're both connected to Epstein.
He's probably been connected through Epstein. I bet he's probably been to Pedo Island a few times.
Well, we haven't confirmed any Weinstein Pedo Island, but let me tell you what we have confirmed. I wish I could play the video if I had a spot on my little screen for us. I should play it. I can find it. I do have it in here. You know what? It's hidden because what I'm going to find here, we'll do it live, is a video at the GLAAD Awards. Do you know what the GLAAD Awards are, John?
The gay and lesbian
something achievement. Yeah. You are correct. So we'll go over here to history. We'll go over to Weinstein and see what we find.
Not very inclusive to trans people.
Oh, look at this. Look what we have here, John. Look what we have here. Here, by the way, and I'm just going to hide you for a second so you can see this on screen, folks, for those that watch the show. It's unlisted. They decided they want to sanitize history. Guys like me can find it. Don't worry. It's unlisted.
Pretend if nobody knows. Nobody will find it.
And at this award, John, here, why don't we make a full screen right behind us? At this little award with Jennifer Lawrence, who, by the way, is alleged to be one of the ladies that just didn't prosecute that he was having his way with. And if you've ever
seen... that's the story that I heard, too, was that when, all the naked photos of the celebrities came out.
Oh, old fappanage.
I heard a story that they think that Harvey Weinstein got his phone hacked, and that's why all these starlets' nude photos were in one place.
Like videos of her totally disheveled with jizz on her face. You mean her? Oh, I mean those? Oh, yeah. So those are supposedly, and again, that's alleged. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, guys. I'm not gonna go wild, but very much so that was alleged. To be from his phone. So here she is talking with him, joking about, his new baby and his wife, and they're giving an award to Bill Clinton. And let's hear from Harvey what good friends they are and how long they've known each other and how they used to travel on vacation together. Well, I mean, listen to Harv.
It's often filled with challenges. I've had the privilege of knowing the president for 20 years.
Oh.
And I just wanted to tell you that how I really got to know the president really well.
Oh.
Some of you don't know because there wasn't a Senate confirmation hearing. This was done rather privately. I was the chief projectionist at the White House from 1992 to 2000.
8 years?
And I'm going to tell you, the president and I saw so many movies together.
I'll bet you
did.
I'm
not kidding, by the way. We saw so many movies together. Some of mine, like Good Will Hunting, and I remember seeing The Harmonists, and so many great films with the president. We even built on vacation, we even built a little portable screening room for the president.
Portable screening room for the president on vacation with an 8-year relationship from the time he began as president to the time he ended as president, as his projectionist. It's so weird. And Harvey Weinstein, Miramax, didn't they put out some of those Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer films? Isn't that weird? How they're all interconnected in that same little slither circle. So yeah, Weinstein,
You think it's a small community, like, of course they're all going to know each other.
I love how they try to sanitize it. Unlisted. Hey, Glad, no, you gave awards to and pandered to high-level sexual predators, and everybody fucking knows it. So don't act like you're some kind of benevolent organization either. You're full of hypocrisy. So how fucking dare you too? All right? I just want to put that out there. But that's not the scandal. The scandal is the cover-up. The McGregor, we're back to MMA. The cover-up of this stuff. When you see a thread like this, all mainstream articles, all real evidence, nothing written by Jason Burmis or even Infowars.com. There was a time. And by the way, guys, I tried to get Infowars.com to break this story in January when I started to break it. I personally texted Rob Dew and had several exchanges with him over it, and they would not do it. So if you think that these guys are tomorrow's fucking news today, I got news for you. They're not. Why wouldn't they want to expose the so-called left in Hollywood, Disney, ABC, the demons over at ESPN? Ask yourself that. I mean, if little old Jason Burmis can do it, why can't they? At the bottom line is, if he's worried about getting sued again. He's worried about getting sued again. And he's going to lose a lot of those Sandy Hook lawsuits.
A large number of viewers who are UFC fans.
Yeah, well, dude,
after our boy Connor.
That's also a good point that I hadn't thought of, because back when I was there, dude, I was wearing
real tight with Trump, so anybody who's going against Trump's friends.
That's what? I had not thought about that angle. Talk about a conspiracy theory. John has a conspiracy theory hat he now wears sometimes on the show. But for those that don't know,
I haven't put it away for Christmas yet.
For those that don't know, Dana White actually spoke at the Republican National Convention on behalf of Donald Trump while he was being nominated. They have a relationship in that many early UFC events were there. There was a moment where Trump tried to poke the bear and do a little affliction styling He had hosted a couple of Affliction. He tried to get in with Fedor versus Barnett, banned, but then Barnett popped. And that's really some of that USADA scandal. That's literally over a decade for that to actually come out and him to be vindicated in that. And if you don't think there was some backdoor shenanigans and maybe another conspiracy theory.
Oh, there was, man, dude. So Phil Baroni signed to do that fight with Shamrock.
Yeah, Strikeforce,
right?
One of my faves.
Strikeforce, yeah. It was like a 20,000 seat venue. Like UFC tried to stop that by sending MRIs, Phil's MRIs of his brain to the commission to be like, look, this guy can't fight. Look at his MRIs. We have proof that he's got plaque in his brain and he shouldn't be competing. Like they tried their hardest to shut the whole thing down, but like it went through anyways. Phil loses whatever. Then they pick him back up, and like they're the ones that knew he shouldn't be fighting, and we're trying to get him to stop fighting. And then he fights for the UFC after that.
He did fight several times for the UFC after that. And by the way, guys,
and they knew like Phil had been
props to Phil Baroni for that fight. That's one of my favorites, dude. Ken Shamrock had some really great fights in Strikeforce.
It was Frank
Shamrock.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
Phil's fight with him, and then with
Kung Lee,
that was a huge one too.
Kung Lee was a great fight against him, dude.
Like that, and that's some of those fights were why the UFC went so hard to buy up their talent, buy up their belts.
And they had to, because at that point that was their number one competitor. The MMA explosion still had not happened. However, if you think about it, how many superstars? Number one breakout would be Rousey, right? And they tried to go that route with Carano before that.
Amanda Nunes.
Yeah,
she came from Strikeforce.
Yeah.
When I saw her fight at Strikeforce, I was like, "You watch her; she's going to dominate everybody."
And then how many future? You talk about Rockhold, you talk about Woodley coming out of there. Lawler had had a second resurgence in his career over at Strikeforce. Nick Diaz at the time.
Diaz and
Daniel Cormier.
Like a lot of guys. Henderson.
They had Barnett in there at that point. Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez. I mean, the list goes on of top level guys.
There was, and the market was better. Fighters had potential to make more money, negotiate better. You had more sponsors. It was just a better time to be a fighter.
John, what we're talking about is an organization that lasted, only through I think 2011. I might be wrong about that. I think
I was wrong then. They got bought.
Yeah, I think
it was only MMA for a short period of time.
Well, I would just say this. My point being.
He started doing Strikeforce kickboxing events back in the 80s.
Well, I would say my only point being is like when we talk about those fighters in that era, those guys are literal, not only top level talent then, but you're talking about guys that are still in the top 10, top 15 now in most cases. Maybe not Melendez, but you know what? I mean, I would still put him as a top 20 guy. I think that he could handle himself right around that range of 10 to 20, no problem, at least be competitive. He hasn't been chinny. I'd like to see that Josh Thompson fight. I think that's a good one. And there's talk about my favorite trilogy is out of Strikeforce. Their trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time. I cannot think of a better three fights. I mean, you could talk about Gray Maynard and Frankie Edgar, but that first fight's no fun to watch. All three of those fights are fucking barn burners.
They're good fights.
So now, talking about scandals, talking about McGregor and, all these things that I'm saying. By the way, go to my Twitter at Jason Burmis if you doubt me. If you're watching this on your screen, go to your phone. If you're watching this on your phone, go to your screen. Go retweet the beginning. Make sure that I'm not, lying. I'm telling the truth. You can make your own decisions. You're big boys and girls. But with that being said, here we are, John. It's on the eve of New Year's Eve. Not one press conference. Not one interview with McGregor. Everything has been PR handled to the tilt. Every time I go to my fucking Facebook feed, it's sponsored ads from Sports Bible and other bullshit about how bulked up McGregor is, or fucking how he gave some kids charity, or some horse shit, or how he's a contender, how he was the top 2019 guy not even fighting, how I can stick a fucking broom up my ass and find Conor McGregor. Nothing about the rapes or the fact he has 19 convictions now in Ireland and got away with punching an old man for $1,000.
19 convictions. He's not,
19 convictions in Ireland.
to the country.
Yeah. By the way, RSK Men, thank you for that super sticker of a pair flying. I appreciate that. We love the super stickers and the super chats. With that being said, with the UFC now 2.5 weeks away from this fight, is this fight even going to fucking happen, John? Am I dreaming, or are we going to be able to stop this fight? By the way, guys, if perhaps you meet McGregor in Ireland where he's hiding out, probably juicing to the tits because he's not bulking up from all the alcohol and cocaine he was doing 3 weeks ago, okay, before they announced the fight. Flick off, thank you so much for that super chat, bro. He's bulking up because USADA openly announced they're letting people cheat again, okay? Mm-hmm. And that's what those pictures are. I mean, they're going to have this guy on the fucking super juice. If he's still doing blow, I guarantee that he's going to knock back a couple lines right before he fucking walks out, Chuck Liddell style. Get ready. But I don't think the fucking fight's happening. I think that if there's a press conference, it could be derailed quickly in this era. What do you think? Am I crazy?
Man, if they got so much control, like who's going to ask the question in a press conference? You know what I'm saying? Like who's going to have the balls to actually do their job as a journalist and ask, hey, what's up with this whole rape thing? Like who's going to do it? I don't see any of those top people doing it.
All right.
They're going to be very tight with who they let into that press conference, and they're going to be very tight with who talks and how long they talk.
It's true, but notoriously those press conferences and especially the press conferences, what do they have? They have the fan base in there. And you've heard some obnoxious chants by the fan base out there. And right now, listen, there's no denying that if you actually follow McGregor, you've at least heard whispers of this. Not your casual fan, but your fucking hardcore fan that's sitting there shilling on Twitter or Instagram or wherever else for McGregor.
I don't know, man. There's some people who just I've brought it up to some people who loosely follow the sport, and they have no idea.
That's what I'm saying. The loose followers have not. They don't know, but the hardcores, they know. Even especially the hardcore fanboys of McGregor, the people that want to believe. They want to believe he's a good man and he's saving little children. He's going to be the champ again, John. The champ. I mean, people love fucking fairy tales, man. They love fairy tales, and they've sold this guy. And let's not lie. And you know what? I never, ever, ever loved to play the race card. I'm not a race card guy. But if you don't think there's some fucking white racists that absolutely love fucking Conor McGregor, abso-fucking-lutely. He was the Great White Hope, man. Mm-hmm. Like, do you remember that old-ass movie, The Great White Hype, with, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And with I think it's Irish Tommy Conklin, and he's like, I'm not Irish. He's like, dude, in boxing, it just means you're white.
It just means you're white. That's hilarious. And that's, dude, like, I feel like there was a point where, because that movie came out long before I ever started fighting or whatever, but like there was a point where MMA, it felt like that. Like that was what we have. I was like, what the fuck?
Dude, that's brilliant, underrated film.
That movie was an example of what boxing looked like with Don King at charge and no Ali Act. That's the base of that movie. That's the fuckery that was happening.
And let's talk about the Jeff Goldblum character, because at first he's going to break the story. Remember, he's going to go in there. He's going to get him. He's going to get the Don King character, and then he goes in, and the Don King character, for those, big spoilers here, guys. He's got pictures of the journalist with Girl Scouts, or no, the journalist has pictures of Don King with Girl Scouts. There's even subliminally like a pedophilia thing in there, if you haven't noticed. Like, they could be of age, they couldn't, they're in Girl Scout universe. He sees these and he starts laughing at him, and he's like, you're a bad guy and you're going down and I'm taking you down, and other people have these. And then he's waiting, or like his partner, his girl who's gonna film everything and come out with the story, is waiting for him to come out. And he comes out, and what's he doing? He's promoting the Great White Hype fight, where this guy who's unranked, hasn't fought in years, He's a wannabe punk rock singer at this point.
Washed out drunk,
and he beat the current champion in an amateur fight. So throughout the fight, Damon Wayans, who's playing the boxing character, just eats ice cream and basically tells everybody to fuck off as they sell the fight. I mean, I think that fucking movie's probably almost 25, 30 years old right now, and it still stands up.
Yeah. But like, it was, and think about how the Don King character, how dirty he was in that movie, right? He still didn't have control of the rankings or the title. Like, he had to go out and pay somebody off to fix the rankings and to like get the title involved. Like, Dana White doesn't have those restrictions.
Explain that to people. For those that don't understand the Ali Act and how it works and how they control, like, again, that's why they can make up a belt.
This happened back in the late 1800s. The U.S. government stepped in and said, no, it's a conflict of interest for the promoter to control exclusive contracts and the title. It's a conflict of interest. Like, they control Ascension. It's no longer a sport. So they stepped in and separated, and that's when the athletic commissions were created, and the athletic commissions controlled the belts. But then that gave the states that held the most amount of people had unfair advantage because you're going to have more money for that belt and respect and whatever. So in 1925, they created a sanctioning body license, and that's where the WBO, WBA, all the main boxing titles came from, sanctioning body. What that does is it has a third party who's responsible for the title. They're responsible for who gets title shots, and they're supposed to keep that title above board and keep it respectable. Because if you just let whoever fight for it for money, then people don't respect it. The fighters don't respect it. Like, the sport loses its luster because there's no more meritocracy. So they created this. It's been almost 100 years since the sanctioning bodies had control of the title. So, like, that's one of the problems we have today, is that the promoters control the belt. The promoters control the title. There's more titles in MMA than there are in boxing. Way more.
And people don't understand that because they only see
MMA promoter has its own belt.
Well, again, they only think 2 or maybe even 3 organizations even exist, right? And in reality, there's probably more globally now, closer to 40 or 50 organizations. I mean, if I wanted to rip them all off, right now you got ONE FC, you got the PFL, Bellator, UFC, EFC, you've got KSW, you've got Cage Warriors, you've got Combate, you've
Fight
got
Nights.
What's that? Lion Fights.
Fight Nights in Russia, I believe.
Why can you say Risen?
I think Fight Nights Global, it's called, something like that.
Yep, Fight Nights Global, Risen. M1 has a multitude of promotions outside of that right now. Roy Jones Jr. Boxing is putting on amateur MMA. We didn't even talk about the king of amateur MMA and the one-time rival of the UFC, King of the Cage. I mean, I go on and on and on. I mean, I watch a ton of this stuff, and I'm sure I'm not even seeing all the stuff that's out there. You know what's funny? So I typed in the Great White Hype, and obviously we brought that up. But if you scroll down, you'll see that right away you start seeing pictures of McGregor. Like, it just comes up is pictures of McGregor of a film, a brilliant film that I'm not even sure how old it is. What's the year on it now?
Got to be early 90s.
96. 24, it's going to be 24 years old this year, so not quite. That
was the year the Boxing Reform Act passed, 1996, and then the Muhammad Ali Act, they made some adjustments to it, and then that passed in 2000. 2000.
So, did I miss any scandals? I mean, the McGregor scandal's got to be the biggest one out there, just because of the brutal nature of the crime, the name.
Yeah, in this decade.
Well, in this decade, you got it. Come on, big guy.
This decade.
The decade.
One of the biggest scandals, I think, I don't know if it started in this decade, was the UFC getting the Athletic Commission to allow legal therapeutic exemptions for
TRT.
I think that's one of the biggest ones ever. The organization went in and figured out how to cheat for people.
Yeah, but
that's a fucking huge scandal. And then they covered up Vitor Belfort's failed test.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right.
going after Frank Mir for more picograms than John Jones, and then a PR came of, it's like I took one little bitty gram of salt and I smashed it into 18 million pieces and I threw it down, one of those pieces, into an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And that's what it means. No, it means you got fucking popped for testing hot. That's what it means, Joe. Okay, Mr. Rogan, I love your podcast too, but the bullshit fucking meter is off the charts. And just like the silence on the UFC. When Kevin Iole asks Dana White straight up if they've done their own investigation, and Dana White doesn't think twice not to answer that question, of fucking course they've done their investigation. You don't think WME Entertainment, the UFC, ABC, Disney don't have every fucking agent they've got talking to every fucking eyewitness, every cop that's on the case, every fucking barrister fucking working? I mean, are you out of your mind? I bet you they've spent fucking $20 million on fucking control alone, in lawyers' fees, in private investigators, in fucking PR companies that sit there and make bullshit accounts for YouTube and fucking Twitter to go at guys like me with fake bullshit. Where's your proof? Where's your proof? And you give them all the proof in the world, they don't want to fucking admit it. Bare minimum trying to stretch this out, because if they can spend that $20 million and that fight fucking happens in 3 weeks, guess what? They're going to make $500 million easy. What's your take on that? How much is that? I mean, to start January, will it beat the BMF fight in pay-per-views, which was their number one stunner this year?
Oh man, I mean, quite possibly. Yeah, it's the end of the year type of thing, or the beginning of a year. It has potential to be a huge fight, huge card. It's hard to tell though. I don't know. I'm not plugged into what the layperson is saying about the UFC, because everybody in my circles is pretty fed up with them.
I hope so, right? Like, can this be Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, where it's just like, meh, it'll do numbers, but not those numbers?
I think the Irish, the Irish fans pour out in droves. I'm pretty sure they're pretty positive they're going to make a shitload of money. I mean, that's why they're going through this.
Well, they're banking on the shitload of money and then giving them a title shot for an immediate.
It's not just the event that they're making money off of. Like everything after the event, they'll still have T-shirts. They'll still have their live stream stuff, or their streaming fights. You watch the fights over again, merchandising. They're going to be able to use their numbers from the event to sell to more sponsors and other people. I mean, I'm willing to put money on the fact that they have a contingency plan for if the shit goes really south and really sour with Conor, to make money off of it. That's just what these people do.
I mean, they better be thinking of a fucking full substitute main event, because that card is fucking garbajo. It's fucking... It's a garbage card.
Strings just to get the fight to happen, to make their money, cash out, and then they can wash their hands of them.
$65 plus tax, guys, plus a paywall in the United States. How about that? Hey, Bellator, you might have been fucking me on the no post limbs, and I can't find them fucking anywhere. Yeah, DAZN, thanks. I paid $100 to watch fucking Bellator all year, and I can't even watch fucking Bellator all year. I'm like one of the rare hardcore fans that wants to watch the fucking fights after Fedor, and there's no way for me to do it. It's not on your website. There's not a pay site for it. I literally have to be in another fucking country. You
gotta live there. You gotta live there to watch it.
Like, that's nuts.
I mean, it's just not good. It's just not good promoting. Like, you should want as many of your people seen by the fan base. You want as many fights out there to as many people as possible.
Especially the hardcores. I mean, not to toot our own horn, man, but out of everybody that's trying to make it, at least we have thousands of people consistently every single week listening or watching to this. You would think they'd want to even give access to guys like me that are putting it out there, promoting it for nothing. Whether we're talking bad or good, it's, like they said, all press is good press at the end of the day, in my opinion. Unless, you're violently raping people and covering it up.
Now, it's about control. They want control. They want to control 100% of their product.
You got a biggest sellout, and I'm not talking about arena. Biggest sellout of 2019, like the biggest puppet of MMA.
I mean, Colby had quite a year, didn't he?
I loved it though. See, that's where we differ, man. You call it grifting.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's funny, not because what he's saying is funny, but I think because that these people are buying into it, and it's so obvious what he's doing. Like he's pulling a Shale, but he's not anywhere near as good as Shale at it. And man, for people just to go along with it, and people to get to work up on it, people on the outside, people in politics commenting and giving a shit about this guy's fake persona so that he can get fights.
Listen, he probably had the highest level, I would say, most exciting fight for the most promoted fight, right? You could say that the Masvidal BMF fight was pretty exciting, but at the end of the day, the stoppage was there because it was a little one-sided and his face was fucked up, right? Had it gone on more and been different, okay. That fight goes into the last minute or so of the final round. I had it going 2-2 in the fifth, and it was honestly 3-1 until the second half of the fourth round for me, which solidified it for Usman 2-2 in that round. So it was an exciting, competitive fight. For me, anyway, as far as holy fuck moments good for the sport, I'd say that fight. I'd say Askren versus Masvidal because Masvidal was looking decent. They built a superstar out of a guy that, has been kind of a journeyman, hasn't been able to take out that top 5 guy. He gets up to that level. He gives people problems, but this year was his year. And that, Askren, again, beats Lawler in an exciting fashion. Has a great mouth for the sport. That was satisfying. So watching that knockout, I think, is satisfying for anyone. You'll see that 20 years down the line in promos. Lima versus MVP. Maybe that's not for everybody, but a hardcore guy like me that was sick of that guy talking shit and wanted to see him against a top-level fucking striker who also could do a little bit more wrestling than your average guy. To watch him get knocked out, fantastic. And then Gastelum and Adesanya. Adesanya, to me, proved he's a real champion. He totally deserves to be where he's at. He had a big year. I think progressively he's looked better.
Hard, performed well.
I agree. Like, listen, that was the fight for me. He got past Gastelum. They may have fed him up the way there, like giving him a title shot after Anderson Silva when fucking, give me a break. I mean, Corey Anderson, like he broke his, I want to say they stopped that fight when he beat up Anderson Silva for some reason. I want to say it was Anderson. Corey Anderson had a hell of a silent year. In fact, if I was going to give, other than maybe Cejudo had a hell of a year too. Dillashaw cut a lot of weight, but that fucking knockout, and him coming back, beating DJ, him beating Maurice, who Maurice is just a bad motherfucker those first 2 rounds, real bad. Like, slows down a little bit, but still, even that Aldo fight was pretty competitive throughout. So I'd say, good year for fights this year. You got any other fights that were pretty memorable? I'm leaving out.
Man, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Fight of the year. I think Corey Anderson's it, man. He can beat John Jones, and everybody's fucking ignoring it.
Yeah, because he doesn't have enough followers. He doesn't have enough internet support, whatever that bullshit is. Like, it's just a frustrating thing, man. It's frustrating, and like I don't see many fighters standing up and doing shit about it.
I got to agree with you, John.
It's really heartbreaking, honestly. It's like it's hard to have respect for a group of people that are supposed to be these tough badasses, and they're such bitches. They're such a bunch of pussies that I don't want to rock the boat. Maybe next year, maybe after a few more wins. Whatever.
And that's what I mean, dude. Listen, we all get one shot at the title. We're about the same age. Time just moves forward. Like, you gotta, that's what I don't understand is so many people, and I know you talk about it and have in the past, are reactionary to the situation around them, but they're not reacting in the right way. They're reacting in the woe is me, I got fucked out of this, instead of navigating that and trying to put
a scarcity mindset. They don't think that the sport can exist without the UFC's monopoly. And that's the biggest mind fuck of all, is that these guys think that this is the only way. It's insanity. Like, they're there to watch the fighters. Like, the fighter's the one who sells a ticket. Like, I don't care who's putting on the fight. Like, people are going to watch Masvidal and Diaz fight. Like they're the show. They're what people are watching. It's not the 3 fucking letters in the octagon. It's the fighters. So let's let the sport be about the fighters, and let's do something. And that's the most frustrating thing. If we had, 30% support of the fighters worldwide, like this shit would be done already. Like we already would have gone in, stormed through Washington. We would have had all the support in the world. Like Dana's little butt buddy relationship with Trump isn't going to cut shit when you've got 100, 200 fighters at the down in DC, fucking walking around Congress and talking to people.
I don't disagree, man. I don't disagree. Guys, that's the year in wrap-up with, I think, the most dangerous MMA podcast out there. You're not going to hear, I would say, about 98% of what we talked about. So if you want to support me, I got to GoFundMe. Thumbs this video up. Subscribe. I'm doing it 3 to 7 times a day on various subjects. Sometimes I agree with Trump. Sometimes I don't. It's because I'm not a fucking automaton that thinks that, like, politics is team baseball. So if you have that same mindset, if you don't have that scarcity mindset like he said, and he said, no, you don't understand. The liberals are going to get us, and they're the party of Satan, Jason. And if we don't team up with Trump and the MAGA supporters and the QAnon people out there, we're all going to go down. Did you see people freaking out today about Ice-T tweeting out a quote with the big Q flame in the background? But so after people started going wild, he's like, just so everybody knows, I retweeted that tweet. Basically, it was, I have no idea what this is other than sci-fi nonsense, and I just like the quote. He's like, I don't follow Q, but you guys all freaked out. He's like, you guys are taking this way too seriously. Yeah. And they like people.
The whole politics. Because, when it really comes down to it, not that much changes.
Nothing changes. Again, John, we now have, you know what? I'm going to go to here. It's going to be me and you for a second, and then I'm going to do this. We have the 4th leak, John. Let me just minimize you for a second right here, of the OPCW reports, where it is clear there is no chemical attack. It is clear they said there was no chemical attack. There was no toxicology reports that showed there were chemicals. The video footage that we all saw showed there was no chemical attack. It was a propaganda exercise. These are the internal leaks. These people tried to do the right thing and go to the authorities, and guess what?
I tried to explain this to somebody, and they're like, well, how can you be sure that's real?
It's how can you?
It's the OP. It's like an official, investigating, and they're like, you don't know.
I'm like, they're literally the organization the United Nations sends in, and they're supposed to be against the proliferation of chemical weapons, hence the PCW part. Everybody on the this is what I say to people when they don't get it. I go, look, the documents are there for you to read. WikiLeaks published them. Assange is not an asset of Russia. He's currently being tortured in a Belmarsh prison on made-up charges. He's not a U.S. citizen. Mm-hmm. He's not a cyber hacker. He's gone after both sides. So just think about that for a second. Then I go, look, you can read these emails. They told you after Trump twice said it was time to leave Syria in that week, and that Assad was about to take over that area, no problem, about to take over the rest of Syria, that he decided to gas his own people. They showed you videos of children in a hospital wet and crying. I go, the next day, people flew there. There's video of those people talking to everybody. No chemical attack, and one of the people I go that flew there is on video with one of those kids and his dad, and he's fine. Do you think some fucking kid that got chemically attacked would be smiling with his father in a similar outfit the next day in the area? You fucking halftard. I go, don't you get it goes beyond that? I go, listen, they don't like WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks openly said that 1,700 emails and published them prove that Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration not only supported Al-Qaeda but created ISIS. That al-Baghdadi shit, fucking grow up. They don't like the fucking fact that Assad speaks very good English, that he sat with fucking RT America for an hour and he said that Osama bin Laden was an asset. He said that fucking Baghdadi was an asset. He told the truth about how Al-Qaeda was fighting him there. He told the truth about how Israel had been bombing his country for years, which they had to admit to later in the week. They don't like that shit. And you know what I don't like? A bunch of fucking brown people dying because we're big fucking liars and we want their resources, guys. And it doesn't matter who sits in that chair. So it can be fucking Pompadour Susan, Donald Trump up there telling you how great it is, or fucking Slick Willie. It doesn't matter, John.
Doesn't matter.
Ah!
Well, that's the problem. Is some people don't realize it's a us versus them. It's the top versus the bottom situation.
And it's not the 1%. I hate that.
People,
That's why
people still think it's left or right, and it drives me crazy.
They're like, Bernie's going to save us from the 1%. I'm like, they're not even identifying right. 1%? Are you fucking retarded? Most people, you graduated. I know I'm a hick, so it was like 54 people. But most of us, even then, graduated with 54 people. That means one person out of the 2 graduated classes of those 2 years would be part of this 1%. Bullshit. If lucky, like one of the family members there owned a car dealership and was making a few dollars. That's not, it's the 0.0001%. It's the fucking predator class. It's the royal bloodlines. It's the people that are permanently there. There's a reason you can't go after Prince Andrew. It's because he's part of the royal family and he's their fucking arms dealer.
Billionaires.
Yes, they're billionaires. Exactly. The Saudi royals are billionaires. The Rothschilds are billionaires. You know?
Trump is an outsider because he doesn't have enough billions.
Yeah, but he's still part of another clique. He's part of that Atlantic City fuck you clique, you know? He's literally like, here's my other thing. I think he should, as a man of principle, pardon Roger Stone. Now, on the other flip side of that, Roger Stone is a total fucking demon who actually... who actually is one of the guys, him and Manafort, by the way. He should pardon Manafort for what he did, but Manafort and him started modern day lobbying, John. They are the guys that literally created lobbyist groups that totally fuck us in every single way and corrupt our politics to this day and should be banned, in my opinion. JohnFitch.net is the website. That's where you can find everything John Fitch, including
the newsletter.
Yep, including this right here. You guys should really check it out. The technique video is really cool if you are into MMA and you're looking to kick a little ass, or maybe you're bouncing at that club and you want to close the distance pretty quick. I did watch that. It's well edited. I think you should be doing one of those a week for the YouTube channel on top of it.
Well, I do videos on my Patreon once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a $1 support level for people just to support my podcasting stuff. A $5 a week gets you into the weekly techniques. I teach Fitch Smash stuff, a lot of stuff for my seminars. Sometimes it's just off techniques I do. And then I have a $10 tier that's just like support certain writing things and just extra support if you want to give it.
TheGruelingTruth.com is where you can find the audio version of this podcast and share it with others. And guys, if there's one tweet you're going to retweet in all of 2019, let it be this one. Let it be the McGregor rape thread. Let people know that we don't want to see this fight to go through. Let people know that at the end of the day, there is no doubt that this young lady suffered a horrendous ordeal. The examinations and all of the evidence shows that she was raped and very badly assaulted in that penthouse suite, folks. And for those wondering about the Infowars.com hat, this is old school from over a decade ago when they still had balls. Little 9/11 was an inside job. He won't be saying that anymore because it's Saudi Arabia and the Chi-Coms in conjunction with the left Satanists. Burmis. They're making the frogs gay. That's how we're closing out 2019. John Fitch, myself. Follow us on Twitter, guys. I love you. We'll see you on the flip. Later, John.
Thank you later, guys.